I'm Hafsa Ramjan. On behalf of the Mauritius Research and Innovation Council, I welcome you all present online to the second awareness session on the call for proposal under the Proof of Concept scheme. There will be 3 presentations today. The purpose of my presentation is to provide potential applicants with an overview of the scheme, its main features, and the steps involved in applying and evaluation. The second presentation will be by Dr. Nitin Gopal on how to fill in the application form. The final presentation will be by Mr. Anish Ramlal on the financial requirements. For your information, questions will be taken at the end of all 3 presentations. Questions can be typed through the questions and answers option at the bottom of your screen. The aim of the Proof of Concept scheme is to assist innovators in advancing their research outputs and ideas with the view to developing prototypes, establishing proof of the proposed concept, and validated business cases. Project proposals will be accepted in areas where opportunities exist to develop innovative technology-based ideas for either new or improved industry-oriented products, processes, or services that will enhance socio-economic benefits. For the purpose of this call for proposals, the following are eligible as entity. By entity, I mean the main applicant: micro, small, and medium enterprises, large enterprises, startups, state-owned companies, associations, including NGOs, NPOs, cooperative societies registered with the Registrar of Cooperative Society, and research higher education institution in collaboration with companies. Importantly, all eligible entities must be existing legal entities registered in the Republic of Mauritius. Startup, MSMEs, and large companies must be registered with the Registrar of Companies. Associations, including NGOs and NPOs, must be registered with the Registrar of Associations. Cooperative society must be registered with the Registrar of Cooperative Society, and importantly, research and higher education institutions must submit an application in collaboration with companies. For the purpose of this call for proposals, the funding of up to 2 million rupees will be provided per approved project. Applicant will have to contribute at least 25% of the amount being requested from the MRIC in cash and in kind. In-kind contribution may be in terms of specialized equipment, facilities, space, including utilities, human resources directly involved in the project. The in-cash contribution by the applicant should be at least 10% of the grant being requested from the MRIC. The duration of the project should be up to a maximum of 24 months. Awards will be made on a competitive basis. Proposals should be aligned with the 7 thematic areas identified in the National Roadmap for Research and Innovation 2023-2027. The following are the thematic areas: financial innovation, blue and green innovation, health and wellness innovation, travel, tourism, and entertainment innovation, social and grassroots innovation, IT and emerging technologies innovation, and finally, Rodrigues innovation. Potential applicants are invited to consult the National Roadmap on our website for more information. I will now go through the different steps of what happens when an application is received. When an application is received, depending on the thematic area, it will be sent to the appropriate RC of the MRIC and the team for processing. The application will go through an administrative screening to determine whether it satisfies all the requirements in the guidelines and whether the applicant has submitted all the necessary information to proceed with a full assessment. In cases where clarifications are required, the applicant may be requested to submit the required information within a week. Upon receipt of all the information, the application will be sent to external reviewers for an assessment. Kindly note that external reviewers may be local or international experts in the field. They will sign a confidentiality agreement before accessing the application. They will provide their comments and they will give a score to the application. Reviewers will remain anonymous to the applicant, but relevant comments may be shared. The Research and Innovation Management Committee of the MRIC will consider the outcome of the evaluations of the external reviewers and will also look at the applications in terms of overall innovativeness and alignment with the national thematic areas, and will make recommendations to the board for a final decision. These are the different evaluation criteria that will be considered by external reviewers: intellectual merit and quality of the proof of concept plan, the potential for commercial application, relevance to Mauritius, capacity building, manageability, and costs. The date and time for submitting an application is by Thursday, 7th of March, 2024 at 3 p.m. Kindly note that late submissions will not be accepted and incomplete applications will not be considered. All queries and clarifications should be addressed via email on contact@mric.mu. These are general instructions for the applicants when filling the online application form. It is important to take utmost care to provide the correct details while filling the online application form. Importantly, once the online application form is submitted, it cannot be edited further. Applicants should also note that when using Save and Resume Later option, the form does not allow saving of uploaded documents for draft forms. As such, documents, where required, should only be uploaded once the applicant is ready to fill in and submit the form. It is important to use a valid email address, since all correspondences will be sent to the project leader. In case of difficulty to fill in the online application form, you can contact the MRIC on 465-1235 or via email on contact@mric.mu. And after submission, you will be receiving a confirmation email and the filled-in application will be attached in the email. Thank you. Dr. Ugopul will now be taking over to guide you through the online application form.
So let's continue with the application form itself. So the first step that you need to look at is providing the information in section 1 on the administrative details. So you have the project title, the main applicant entity, the type of entity, and then you have to describe, select the thematic area under which your proposal is going to be submitted. And you also have to indicate whether it falls under the sub-themes or indicative projects that were identified under the National Roadmap for Research and Innovation. You then move on to indicating the duration of your project. Maximum is 24 months. Registration number of your company or your organization. Any document that's required confirming the registration you would upload here. Section 1.1 goes into the budget. So how much you're requesting from the MRIC for this project. Maximum is 2 million. You also indicate the applicant contribution in cash and in kind. Indicate the source of funding for your in cash and in kind contribution, and provide as much details as you can on this. You also indicate the total project value. And you move on to section 1.2 where you have the project leader's details. And remember, the project leader should be an employee of the main applying entity. So you provide your details here, title, job title, entity, address, phone and email addresses, and upload documents that are related to the ID, work permit or residence permit as may apply, and the CV. Section 1.3, you indicate how many collaborating entities, if any, are involved. Remember that the proof of concept you could apply directly, except for research institutions which need to collaborate with an enterprise or a company. Section 1.4, you indicate how many team members or collaborators are involved. Section 2 goes into the project summary. And this information on this section here may be made public. So you indicate your project title here. If the information is similar to that on the cover page, and you click on this where it says, please click, the details will be filled up automatically here. Or else if they are different, you insert them here. The technical abstract. This is the very important part that you need to consider. Be very focused because you have a limit of 200 words or less on this section. So focus really on the core of the application and make sure you include the commercial application wherever that's involved. If you have any information which you're referencing, you're making certain claims, for example, you're referring to certain statistics in your technical abstract, please make sure that you reference them and you can annex those details afterwards. Also make sure you insert at least 4 keywords so that it's easy for the council to follow up on the project. Also for referencing later on the website of the council. Section 3, you have to describe the activities for which funding is sought. You've got at least 6 indicated activities and another one which is other. When you're filling up these activities, you should select at least one of the activities that are marked 1 to 4. Section 3.2, you give a concise description of the project. So again, you'd find under Part A, there's a limit of 500 words for describing the project, but you're encouraged to add reference and annex any additional detail that you want to add that you think will make any information that you're providing clearer for the council and for any reviewer who's going to assess the project. Part B, you indicate what's a specific technology, product, process, or service innovation either has been or is planned to be developed in this project. Part C looks into the end goal of the project. How will this fit into the commercialization of the technology? Section 3.3 goes into the overall project. So you have to identify what's the problem or the need in the market you're addressing. How significant is this need? And please quantify and substantiate as far as possible any information that you're providing here. List the target groups who have this problem or need, and who do you think is likely to pay to have this solved. Section C here, you list potential competing technologies. Is those who you think will be competing in the same space as your intended innovation. Or D, you indicate which indicators of the Global Innovation Index your proposal innovation contributing towards. You'll find that there is a list of selected criteria that have been put, human capital and research infrastructure and others. If you want more information on the Global Innovation Index itself, please follow the link that's provided in there. Project technology status. You use this table, which is part of a standardized technology readiness level, to identify where your proposal, where your development, your innovation actually stands. So you have 2 things to indicate. One is where you're starting. The second thing is where you expect to end when you're completing the project. So you'll find there are steps which range from concept formulation down to an integrated prototype system verified in the relevant environment. So when you select current status, one of those selections will make another set of selections open up on the other end of it. So you then indicate where you will be when you're completing the project. Part 3 of it is for you to indicate a summary of the results on any work that you might have done before applying on this project. So any preliminary observations, maybe surveys, maybe some technical work that you can do. If you have the results, whether it's in form of a report or an abstract, please add those here. Section 4 here is you have to indicate what further activities beyond proof of concept would be required before you can sell your product. That is, how would you enter the market? What would be needed beyond this proof of concept? Section 5, please provide information on any prior funding that you have received for this project. And also under Section 6 here, if you've approached any other potential business partners or funders, please indicate where, if there is any funding, what's the status. Section 4 moves into the intellectual property of the proposal. So you indicate here under A whether you have got any patents or other IP protection that relates to the project, whether you're using technology, for example, that belongs to a third party, and whether you've got the rights for it to exploit it. Also indicate if there's a likelihood that you will be developing new IP that is protectable, and what you regard as the most difficult aspects for your competitors to copy in the proposal. Also indicate under Section D here whether your prior art has been completed. The prior art is really research having been done on the technical part of the proposal. So you might have accessed Google Patents, for example, or other databases. So indicate if you've done any prior art search, what's the outcome, any results you might have obtained. Section 5 moves into the project budget and timeline. So you've got a number of forms to fill in here. Section 3A is concerning the detailed budget breakdown. So here you would indicate, for example, on the left column, you will see items, human resource, equipment costs, including hardware and software, and other direct costs. Just bear in mind that human resource, the limit is up to 45% of the MRC funding you're asking for. You would indicate, for example, the remuneration that you expect for the project leader, the research or project collaborator, and any other human resources involved in the project. On the right-hand side of the column, there's a column where you have to put the funding requested from the MRIC. Also an indication of the in-cash and in-kind contribution from the company and the collaborators. Section 5 is another sheet that you would have to fill in. It concerns the project milestones and disbursement schedule. All the projects, any project that you would propose, you would have to break it down into milestone periods. There's a maximum of 4 milestone periods that are indicated here. You would indicate the duration of each milestone period and which activities you'll be conducting during that period. And you also indicate the allocated funding that you're requesting from the council for that milestone period and the contribution. And just make sure when you're filling in this form here, at the lower row, the totals that you would have here for MRIC funding in cash and in kind should match what you have indicated in the previous form, section 3A here under the totals. So I've covered the scheduling, the milestone disbursement. Section 6, you indicate what are the technical and non-technical risks that you have identified pertaining the implementation of this project. You also indicate what are your assumptions and limitations that are being made for this project, any technical limitations that you foresee, and where further this project can be taken prior to engaging a commercial partner. Remember, this is a proof of concept scheme. We are aware that proposals need a longer time period to be able to reach a commercial endpoint. So there are certain steps that you might need to be considering after the proof of concept. So you can indicate here, it's the furthest stage you would reach in this project prior to engaging a commercial partner. Section 8, the list of documents that we require to be submitted together with your application. So there's a letter of support from the head of the applying entity, letter of support from collaborating entities. And section 9 is additional information, technical reports, specifications of equipment, research, clearances, if that's required. You've not yet got the clearances, at least an indication of where you would seek the clearance and whether you've already approached the authorities for these. If you have got the clearances, then do provide the information here. So all these can be uploaded in your document. And the final part of this is where you have the applicant declaration. So you make sure, so this serves in fact a little bit of a checklist for you. So you make sure that you've got all the information that's listed here, budget breakdown, Gantt chart, and the others, and your declaration, which should be signed and dated. Okay. You can submit your form after this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gopal. Good morning, everyone. I'll be talking on the financial requirements for the PCS call for proposal. The financial templates that were just mentioned by Dr. Gopal are important documents that form part of the application process and are crucial if ever a project gets approved for funding. With respect to funding, first of all, I would like to highlight the prerequisites with regard to a bank account. First and foremost, a dedicated bank account should be made available for the project. That is, only transactions pertaining to the project should appear in the bank statement. The reason why we require a dedicated bank account is due to the fact that sometimes we obtain bank statements with many various transactions, and it becomes difficult to trace transactions pertaining to the project only. This delays the financial process and hence the disbursement. This is why a dedicated bank account is mandatory. As mentioned by my colleagues at the start of the presentation, the company should contribute 10% in cash contribution. Bank statement reflecting contribution should be provided on the bank's letterhead. Proof of concept scheme is a matching ground. We shall proceed with our disbursement only when the company has contributed its in cash and same is appearing in its bank statement. Now, once the project is approved and signed, a template for financial progress report will be provided to the project leader. We shall now speak on the financial requirements. Please take note that this section on financial requirements will highlight the common pitfalls that delays disbursement from MOIC. These are crucial for smooth financial procedures and for disbursement. First of all, the VAT registration certificate of the company should be provided if the company is VAT registered. I would like to point out that the VAT amount on any VAT invoice that will be provided will not be disbursed. This is due to the fact that the VAT amount is refundable by the MRA upon filing of the company's VAT return. So if we disburse the VAT amount and the MRA is refunding the VAT, it will count as double income for the company. Thus, while filing the financial progress report template, VAT amount should always be excluded if it is VAT registered. The template for the financial progress report that will be provided should be properly filled and be signed. This documentation is crucial for the financial process and thus for disbursement. Bank statements. As mentioned before, a dedicated bank account should be made available for a project. Secondly, bank statement should be provided on the bank's letterhead. And last, the bank statement should reflect expenses paid from MRIC funding and their own in-cash contribution. For invoices and other supporting documents, all documents should be provided on the company's name. Invoices on the project leader name or on any individual related to the project will not be entertained. The invoicing should only be on the company's name. Another important point to note that invoices should be within the milestone period that it is being conducted. Any expense incurred before signature of contract will not be entertained. And any purchase of equipment at the end of the project will not be entertained as well. Proof of concept scheme is a technology-driven project. Henceforth, it is expected that invoices pertaining to ICT equipment will be provided. The invoices as well as pertaining to any purchase of goods or service is expected to be detailed. Lump details on invoices as one-line item as ICT equipment will not be acceptable. Invoices should agree with financial progress report as well as the bank statement. That is, the amount on the invoice should appear correctly on the template of the financial progress report. Same should also be traced on the bank statement as well. All expenses should be in line with the guide on allowable and non-allowable expenses. Non-allowable expenses that are seen frequently included are bank charges, CSG, and pay of staff, among others. Please note that these non-allowable expenses will not be entertained. For better clarification, it is advised to consult the guide for allowable and non-allowable expenses to proper file the financial progress report template so as to avoid delays in disbursement. Finally, we can conduct one meeting with regards to financial requirements with project leaders before signature of their contract. A detailed explanation will be provided about the financial progress template and the process. I thank you very much. I now pass on to Hafsa, my colleague.
Thank you for your attention. We have now reached the end of our presentations. We will now be taking questions from participants. Kindly note that part of the questions will be taken live, while others are being answered in the question and answer section at the bottom of your screen. The first question that we will be taking live is, if a project requires implementation in Rodrigues, should the NGO have an office or physical location in Rodrigues, especially if the NGO is already registered in Mauritius? Thank you. It is advisable that the applying entity partners up with a collaborator which is located in Rodrigues. This will facilitate the implementation of the project.